Hi guys, my name is Josh. I need to be kind of quiet just because it's very late right now. But I am going to present my quarter project on this video, and I hope you think it's cool. It looks very complicated, but I hope that it makes more sense after I explain it. It's really not too bad of a project, and I spent a lot of time on it. I think it's cool. So hopefully you guys think it's cool too. So basically what it is I have this IR remote, and all it does is when I press different buttons on the remote, it's just going to play a different song that I've programmed into the code, and it's going to display a different color scheme with the RGB LEDs, and it's going to run an interrupt function which runs an LED show where the LEDs are going to pretty much blink to the music. And you know, like I said, it's not that hard of a code. I just use the switch case. The way that the IR remote works, as you can see, there's an IR receiver right there. The IR remote, when you press a button, it sends out an infrared signal, and the IR receiver stores that signal as a number. And so you can use that number. I used it in a switch case. Basically, when the IR receiver receives this certain number, run this segment of code, right? So it's not that bad. Just took a little research on my end, and including a library. But here we go. So you can see a blinking green RGB LED right there. The way you know that the IR receiver is ready to receive data is if that blinking LED is no longer blinking, if it's just a solid green. There's two ways to achieve this. So my code is such that I found an experimental value for the voltage going into a pin for a well-lit room. And what I mean by that is I have a photoresistor right here. And when you decrease the brightness in the room, so say I turn the lights off, the resistance of that photoresistor is going to go up drastically, right? And so if the resistance on the photoresistor is going up and we still have 5 volts provided to it, the current's just going to go down. And so the input pin is going to read low when the lights are off. And so my code is such that I found an experimental value which was 341 in analog read. When the pin is reading a number that is less than 341, the LED is going to stop blinking and the system will basically be on. So this works when the lights are off. Another way to do it, you can see we have a button right here, and this button, like I can press it and you'll see that the light turns green. Or I can cover the photoresistor and you'll see that the light is solid green. And the way the button works is it's a pull-up resistor. The pull-up resistor kind of works the opposite as you would think a button works. Basically, when I press the button, it's connected to 5 volts and then to an input pin. When I press the button, it's just going to short the circuit. And so when I press the button, the input pin is going to read low. And my code is such that when the input pin reads low, or photoresistance is, less than 341, then the system's on. And so I'm just gonna leave this on by covering the photoresistor with my shadow. So one thing you'll see is that I have a potentiometer in series with the buzzer. And what that's gonna do, like let's say, when I wrote this code, this part of the code was Halloween, so I programmed a spooky code, but you'll see that's on. So I'll press number 2, and you'll see that it's going to play a spooky song. I don't know if you've seen the movie Halloween with Mike Myers, but this is the theme to that movie. RGBs are orange and purple right now. You can see that the LEDs are running a light show, and I have attached an interrupt to the pin that the buzzer is connected to. Whenever the buzzer changes voltage, these LEDs are going to blink on and off, and so they basically blink to the tone of the music. That's my hardware interrupt. I think you can hear the noise. You can hear that it's playing the song. Another thing I want to show you is this potentiometer. This is what I can control that is variable. So say I decrease the resistance. You can see that the volume goes way up, and I need it to be low right now because everyone is sleeping. So I'm going to turn the potentiometer down, and you can see the volume goes down. So that's just a really simple volume control that I have built into this circuit. I don't want to play through this whole song because I don't have time, but you'll see that that goes back, the green RGB goes back on once the song is over. I can put in another input and I will get another song to play. I should note that the button EQ on the remote, right, when I press it, it's just going to run a really simple code. It's just going to blink the LEDs once. And I have that in there because it breaks the switch case. If I didn't have it in there, my switch case would just keep looping to the next case, to the next case, and it was really annoying, so I needed it to stop. And that little buffer case was the solution for me. So that's pretty much it for the circuit part. I do have one more thing for the circuit part that I need to show you. In order to meet the requirements for this project, I needed to use a sensor we never used before. So I have the water level sensor right here, and I really don't like this because it requires me to have water very close to my project, and I don't like that at all. But you'll see I have water sensor, and my code runs in a way where when this sensor is at least halfway submerged into the water, you'll get a special song to play. So say I submerge it, and you say that's halfway submerged. The white LED turns on, it plays Sprach Zarathustra. Probably know that song, I don't know if you know it was called that, but I guess the idea is, if you have a cup of water, you have no way of changing the brightness, and you have no way of pressing the button, but you have a way to put your sensor in the water. You can play Sprach Zarathustra, and maybe you can chug the water before the song's over. So that was really there just to meet the requirement. Don't ask me why I put it there, because that's literally the only reason. So that pretty much does it for the hardware. And one last thing that I want to show is the serial monitor. So I open the serial monitor, as you can see. You'll see two different values right now. So you'll see brightness equals, that's the value of the photoresistor, and remember that that value needs to be below 341. So right now the LED is not blinking because that is below 341. Say I move my shadow, then, you know, like I'm gonna get, I might need to actually close the serial monitor and run it again. Say I move my shadow, see, now we're at 418, 397, the LED is blinking. Another value you'll see is water. That is just the submersion of the sensor in the water. So when the sensor's halfway submerged, it's going to be 300, and my code runs that when water is greater than 300, then Sprach Zarathustra is going to play. Else, nothing happens, right? One more thing. You won't see it right now, but say I cover up the photoresistor. I press, let me play Jingle Bells for you. So it's playing Jingle Bells. You'll notice it says button value equals 31365, and that is the value that the IR remote is transferring to the IR receiver. When I press number 3, my number 3 is equivalent to 31365 to the IR receiver, and that's basically telling you just what button you pressed. And so that is my communication back to the serial monitor. That is my project. I know that video went a little long, but I felt like there was quite a bit to explain. But I hope that you enjoyed this project. I hope that it makes sense how it works. I thought it was really fun to do. The biggest challenge for me was that the RGB, the buzzer, and the IR receiver were all running on the same timer. And so what I needed to do was go into the source code of the IR library and change the timer. And even then, I'm still having problems analog reading the RGBs. I can only analog read the green and red pins when I try and do it with the blue pin. Let's just say that nothing works. So it would have been easier if I would have had another Arduino. You know, just more space and more wires. I actually used pretty much all of my wires. So it was challenging, it was hard, but it was also really cool, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So thank you for watching, and all the best.